Welcome to Minisode episode.
Was I late?
Yeah. Right on time, Jesse. You're never late for anything.
This episode is entitled "That One Face Dan Aykroyd Makes" and that one scene in Ghostbusters.
That would be me.
That's the name of this minisode.
Yeah, I like it.
Can I go first because mine is so stupid?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Do it up.
I got an article here from the dailymail.co.uk.
Wow.
Wonderful
Okay.
website.
Already good. Already great.
This is a story that is not wrong
Real.
for the Daily Mail to run. Okay.
Okay.
Here's the headline, and then I'll read some select bits. Goldie Hawn's alien encounter. Actress 77, her age, noted in the headline, claims an extraterrestrial once, quote, touched her, all caps, face, saying it felt like, quote, the finger of God, as she recalls moment she found herself surrounded by three otherworldly beings.
Okay, I'm in. I'm
You guys
very
ready
curious.
for this? Are you guys ready for this tale?
I'm not ready, but
I
all
am.
right.
She apparently was on a show that I did not know existed before this as a guest appearance called Time to Walk, which is on Apple Fitness Plus.
Yes.
So I don't even know.
Oh, is this like one of
Videos?
those things where you're supposed to listen to it while you're walking?
I think
Time
that's
to
the
walk?
vibe. I think it's like if you want to walk, we can join us on a walk and we'll give you some
Who's
balanced.
the host? Who
interesting-
got the cushiest job in entertainment?
Right?
Time to Walk on Apple Fitness. All right, let's see.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah.
Why is it always someone like Maria Menounos? You know what I mean?
No, it's not, is it?
The safety.
It's
the
always
safest
like
choice.
that. Can walk with award-winning actress Gina Rodriguez.
Gina Rodriguez?
Wait.
Oh, what? Hold on, never mind. It's a whole thing. So it features Alicia Keys, Jennifer Lopez, Lady Gaga. Each one's like a different time to walk, I guess.
Okay.
Got you.
All right, so this is like a product. All right, we're getting too far down the rabbit hole here. All right,
We,
this is a show
We do
that
what we
go-
always
Yeah,
do.
we
We
just
research
advertise
it.
that shit. You know
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
Don't. You know what? Don't go get it. It's trash.
it's
There you go.
shit. Apple's stupid.
Apple's the worst.
Don't buy that stuff.
I
Now it's
don't
bounced
even
out.
own one of their stupid phones.
Not.
They did cancel
I do.
the problem with Jon Stewart, which is a frustrating development.
No, he walked away because he's a smart man, and Apple
Well,
is a
yeah, because they were going to be
corporate
like, you can't talk
monster.
about China like that. And he's like, oh, fuck yourself.
Yeah, smart man.
So she was talking about how she came face to face with an alien, which is a wish that she had, but that was granted 50 years ago when she was in her 20s, and she was a dancer. And she ran into these aliens.
This is extremely detailed. This is
already
about as
the stupidest
detailed
thing
as
I've ever
all
heard.
the ghost stories from the Bridgewater Triangle episode.
Here's the quotes. Here we go. That was a time when, there was a lot of UFO sightings. I remember this so clearly. I went outside my door and I sat on the little ledge and I looked up at the dark sky. I saw all these stars and all I could think of was, how far does this go? How little are we? Are we the only planet in the whole wide universe that has life on it?
She's
I
having
said-
one of the 3 pre-required thoughts you're supposed to have when you start smoking weed.
Yeah. I said, I know you're out there. I know we're not alone. And I would like to meet you one day. So that's the quote. And
Guess what I'm
apparently-
doing tonight, boys? Guess what I'm
I was
doing
gonna say
tonight?
you should do this. You should
I'm
put
just
it out
going
in
to
the
go
universe.
outside. I will keep my clothes on. I will
Yeah.
calmly say,
You know what? The fact that you have to say that explains a lot why aliens don't visit you.
listen,
needy.
I'm gonna
Want
go
it
out
too
there,
bad.
I'm just going to be like, I know you're out there.
You're too needy. The
really-
aliens are like, ooh,
Really want to meet you one day.
ooh.
And let's see what happens.
No.
Continue, Alex.
Okay, so she put the vibe out there. 4 months later, she was sitting alone in a friend's vehicle, and she said she heard, quote, high-pitched sounds in her ears. She couldn't move, and then 3 strange life forms came, appeared in front of her. She describes them as triangle-shaped heads, no ears, slash for a mouth. She was about to take a nap, and she yelled up to the sky that she wanted to meet an alien, and they showed up in a high-pitched way. She, quote, "They were silver in color, slash for a mouth, tiny little nose, no ears. They were pointing at me in the car as if they were discussing me like I was a subject, and they were droning. I was paralyzed, and I thought, oh my God, I want to get up. I didn't know if it was real or not real." And then she said that when they touched her face, it was loving, it was filled with light. She said, "It felt like the finger of God. It was the most benevolent, loving feeling. This was powerful. It was filled with light. It was like bursting out of a force field." And she said that it was the impetus for a lifelong fascination with space, and that she went back years later to visit some crop circles, and she had a dream the night before she got there. And the quote is that she said, "I was looking over a valley and saw 6 lights came up over the mountain. We got to the spot next day, and by God, I was standing on this hill looking down over a valley that was dark. That was exactly the spot in my dream." And then that when she got there, that there was a crop circle the night before, and then she said, "We can never lose our wonder. It's just no fun. It's really an important aspect of being an adventurer where nothing is impossible."
That sounds like she's about to go on a green stone journey.
Yeah, so I just want to clarify. This is Goldie Hawn, yes?
Yeah.
Hollywood actress Goldie Hawn, who
Kurt
in
Russell's
the 70s
wife.
and
Yeah.
80s was known for doing lots of drugs. She claims to be against drugs now for the reason that she did a lot of drugs.
She's got to try them all. She
in the
doesn't need to
70s
know
and
anymore.
80s, like plates of cocaine. I'm about to say cocaine, but that's even worse.
Cocaine?
Cocaine? All right, just put it out there. She did a lot of drugs.
Look, but this was before.
fair enough.
She was just a dancer at this time. She wasn't even rich.
Right,
and famous yet.
dancers in Hollywood notoriously don't do drugs.
Yeah, they're
I have
super
many
clean.
friends who were dancers in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. They never did drugs. In fact, they're clean.
And as a comedian who worked in Los Angeles for many years, I never saw anyone even drink a beer.
Never once.
Not
This
once?
town is a dry community.
Sundown town. What do they call? That's not what a sundown town is. I don't know what
It's a sundown town, baby.
I don't even know. I'm not even sure what that is, actually.
Robert Downey Jr. didn't become the most successful actor until he quit drugs.
That's true. He was Iron Man.
Yeah.
True.
I'm going to take it from there because this is also alien related.
Oh, boy.
So, hey, no, this is more like an update, right? We've had, remember the SCIF meetings got denied and all this stuff, and, chaos in our, Congress for way too long. But so apparently, quietly, the SCIF meetings have been approved. And they've had multiple different SCIF meetings with different parts of the government. And today, the very first one with the DOD occurred. Now, people got really excited because like, oh my God, finally the DOD is going to be able to like say something. The DOD is not who we're looking at to get answers. They even go out after the SCIF meeting and said, quote, "The Department of Defense Office of Inspector General is not responsible for determining the classification of the information in our oversight work, nor do we determine the level of security clearances for congressional leaders. The DoD OIG is committed to being as transparent and communicative as possible with our congressional leaders and welcome any further opportunity to discuss our work." AKA, we can't declassify these things because we're not the ones doing it. So whatever you're looking at of us, we can't give you, more or less. We also learned that Tim Burchett coming out said they learned nothing new in that SCIF meeting at all. The only interesting thing that came out was another rep who was in there, Representative Eric Burleson, came out and he simply said, "What it appears to be is somebody has discovered something, some advanced form of propulsion or technology that may actually change all of our lives." End quote. That's what he came out of the SCIF meeting saying today. Did not elaborate.
What?
Did not elaborate. Don't know what that means.
That's like the most cryptic thing that I've ever heard in my life.
Someone.
Someone.
It appears somebody. It appears to be what it appears to be is somebody has discovered something, some advanced form of propulsion or technology that may actually change all of our lives.
That doesn't sound...
That's what he told reporters today leaving the SCIF meeting.
That doesn't sound like anything.
It literally is just like a bunch of nonsense, like vague words slapped together to give you nothing.
I'm interested what they wanted to say that they weren't allowed to say. Like, why call the skiff?
I think it's the opposite. I think it was a
nothing
nothing, and they said a thing to make it seem like something happened.
But we still have more skiff meetings coming. One more with like the IC or something. I have to look at. It's like a different part of the intelligence branch, and some other things. Basically, like, people think he slipped up when he said that. He wasn't supposed to say that, and he's like going to be in trouble or something. I don't know why they believe that he's not supposed to say that.
Nothing came out of his mouth.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't. It's like one of the people's. Yeah, it's weird. People
Somebody
think
has
lines,
something that some way, in somehow, shape, or form, might change things.
It might change things up.
And people are connecting this. Do you remember back when WikiLeaks came out with all those emails? John Podesta and all that stuff came out with all those emails. There are a lot of UFO emails in there.
Right.
They kind of connected to, I don't know why, but they're connected to the email from January of that year where Mitchell asked for an urgent meeting with Podesta about disclosure and 0-point energy and promised that a colleague named Terry Mansfield would, quote, bring us up to date on the Vatican's awareness of ETI. Continuing to say, quote, remember, our nonviolent ETI from the contiguous universe are helping us bring 0-point energy to Earth. That was from what somebody told Podesta. Mitchell told Podesta specifically. Yeah, this is all from government leaked emails. This is like all shit that got leaked out. The reference of ETI, extraterrestrial intelligence, obviously set off alarm bells. They continues to tell Podesta they will not tolerate any forms of military violence on Earth or in space, whatever the fuck that means. In the meeting with Podesta, the meeting with Podesta never ended up taking place. Dr. Mitchell and Podesta, which was the Hillary Clinton.
But the aliens won't tolerate violence?
Yeah, the aliens do not tolerate violence. The ETI.
Right. It's working out real well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, I don't know why they connected to it because there's really nothing here that really speaks about it. The only thing they're connecting it from is the 0-point energy, and they think that like maybe that's what he's discussing. The 0-point energy thing is what he's discussing when he says they discovered something that will change how we. I don't know. I don't fucking know. It was a bunch of nothing that came out. Everybody like needs to know the skiff meeting that happened today that really nobody knew about. Nothing came of it. Even Tim Burchett.
As long as they don't buy an Elon Musk car, like I'm fine with it. I'll buy a 0-point energy.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, give me some gravity shifting freeway conveyance that gets me to work faster. I'll buy it.
I'm in.
Honestly, this planet needs a shakeup. We need something to come along and just rattle it because
we need to go from 3.5 to 5th edition.
Yeah, I'm tired of being stuck in this same fucking mentality that we've been in forever.
Yeah. Time for DLC.
Yeah, give us
Absolutely.
Earth DLC.
You know what?
Yeah.
Patch it. Let's move on.
If it doesn't work, I don't know, maybe Earth 2.
Bring on Phantom Liberty. Let's go.
Earth 2.0. Yeah. Just update it. Give us a patch.
Idris Elba. Let's bring him out. Let's get him involved.
You know what? We need Idris. Yeah.
Alex, wrap us up. What do you have?
I already did.
Jesse. Sorry, I meant Jesse.
Alex
I meant Jess. Yeah. Listen, you're both from Germany. You're Eric and Loffenstein or whatever his name was.
I'm not fucking
Absolutely.
German.
By the way, speaking of Germany, did you know that Hitler did not subscribe ever to the Chilluminati podcast Patreon? So if you don't want to be like Hitler, you'll subscribe.
Holy shit. You just blew my mind. I can't believe a bunch of Hitler likes are listening to this podcast.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. All these people listening, not Hitler. Not Hitler. You guys are doing great. You're not Hitler.
Hell yeah.
We love you, non-Hitler people.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, you non-Hitlers.
And if you come to our live show, by proxy, you're non-Hitler too.
So the BBC put out a really fun article that I absolutely love. I think it's supposed to be in preparation for the new season of Doctor Who, which I guess is like 3 episodes of Tennant, I guess is the vibe. Anyway, it starts with this idea of humanity's concept of aliens and, more importantly, how it's changed throughout the years and the TV era and what that's done to it and before that. And I thought it was really fun. I want to walk this, through with you guys. It's amazing.
So aliens today. I didn't even know. This is a surprise that we all brought something alien in today.
Yeah. So we all know Betty and Barney Hill, right? The story captured the imagination of the public. The first major publicized
Barney had
abduction.
Bumps that hurt around his wiener. That sucked.
Yeah. And soon after, a lot more talk about alien abduction occurred. But it also sparked Hollywood's love affair with it. And according to the Hills accounts, right, the creatures they met were, oversized heads and wide eyes and gray skin and little slit mouths and all that thing. The couple had essentially invented this archetype of like archetypal sci-fi alien movie creature, right? And the best part is it fit really well with being able to put a man in a suit, right? And so in Hollywood, they could easily just fit a man into a suit, make him look like the little alien gray thing, and that is what we've been fed ever since then. Every movie, everything we see, most of the aliens, there's always this, they have, even on Star Trek or Star Wars, almost everything is on two legs and is humanoid in some shape or form.
Yeah. Star Trek famously so.
Yeah,
I remember the episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation where they go out of their way to describe why everybody is a humanoid in the world. There's a whole fucking episode about that shit.
And it's fascinating because in a universe of multiple ways that people can evolve, why they all are like bipedal humanoid looking things is insane, right? And you figure, well, they wouldn't be. There's no way they would be. And culturally, we've been fed a lot of that because of mass media. But before that, it was not the case. And it's amazing.
Oh, yeah, no. We've talked about some of that stuff. It's crazy, some of the early alien stuff.
Well, I've got images, and it's great. So,
I'm ready.
Oh, this could be a fun conversation.
1887, it's 1887.
We are
This
fully
is before the
cowboy.
invention of sliced bread, before the invention of, like, ice cream pops, before the invention of the term teenager.
Yeah.
Science fiction author Joseph-Henri Bouix
Jeez. You good?
set pen to paper in his Brussels office and imagined a place called Les Epireux. Don't know how to pronounce that, but that's how I think it's pronounced. A book set on Earth 1,000 years before the ancient Mesopotamian cities of Nineveh and Babylon were founded. In this book, it starts with this dreamlike encounter in a forest clearing where a nomadic tribe of people are looking for somewhere to rest. And one night, they stumble upon these things that are translated to as the shapes. They are these bizarre geometric creatures resembling bluish, transparent cones with their point facing upwards. Each was around half the size of a human with some stripy markings and dazzling, like a star in its core that, it's very weird to describe. The creatures are considered among the first non-humanoid aliens in science fiction, which essentially leads to a cautionary tale about, meeting an unfamiliar other, and spoiler alert, after which they fight and they kill off these shaped creatures, and it's an allegory, right? But I want to show you these shaped creatures because they're fascinating. At the time, you can imagine this dude was obsessed with sort of geometric shapes, and so the aliens became these wacky geometric shapes.
Wild.
Super fascinating stuff.
That's like what I was talking about with Santel one time, pretty much, is like that type of idea of just like kind of everybody kind of getting what they are looking for. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, that's exactly where I was going to go, too. Because if you go back into the 1800s and look at what is considered UFO sightings, a lot of what they were seeing in the sky was like ships. And I mean like boat kind of style ships, like in the sky, or weird hot air balloon-esque things that looked kind of like a hot air balloon. And then men in like the furry monkey men in like weird, strange, like coveralls would come out and stuff like that. And it's interesting if you look at it from the other side. It was like, well, if this is partially coming out of our own consciousness and we're kind of withdrawing out things that we're familiar with, or they're using that as a way to like be familiar. When UFOs became the little grays and the things like UFOs became like the worldwide accepted understanding of them, it's interesting that that's, perception changed. And I wonder if it's like the consciousness of humanity playing into whatever it is that these things are maybe trying to do.
100% has to be. Like, we're more accepting of certain things.
Yeah.
Like, we suddenly see, even if grays are real, the idea that people are willing to buy into it because they look human, they can be totally fake. But the concept of like, well, that's what subconsciously we see. A great example is...
they might not look like anything. They could just be amorphous energy.
Yeah. In 1912... a story called A Princess of Mars had the Green Men of Thrak. And this is what the Green Men of Thrak looked
1912?
like.
That's really cool.
1912. Love these guys.
Oh, they're awesome.
Basically like giant. They look like you would fight them in Halo.
So the last dudes were like Jello dudes. These dudes are like if they had Stretch Armstrongs on Mars. Like pretty much what they look like.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another great one that I absolutely love is in a 1937 book called The Star Maker. We were introduced to a sentient, godlike star. And this is what it looked like, and I absolutely love the idea. Because then you have to think, in the 1930s, they had this idea of consciousness and what was going on in the human mind, and this thing is literally a face with a star in it.
We still, it's so funny.
I saw this
like,
in my toilet bowl one time when I was tripping on hubby bars, dude.
But that's just, it's cool that in 2023, we still struggle to understand consciousness in any real form. Like, we don't really, we have guesses, you know? But there's that idea of like, a lot of scientific study goes into consciousness being transmitted, right? Our brains are transmitters of consciousness, creators, generate consciousness. Sure. What if our brains are receptors of consciousness? What if our brains are antenna and not a generator of sorts?
It's
and
true.
We're pulling in. We don't know. Again, we have no idea. But that picture with a fucking human skull, but the whole face is missing, and it's just space and a giant like crystallized star.
It's trippy.
It's fucking, I want to use that in a D&D campaign.
Like maybe the second one, the second one that you sent kind of looks kind of traditionally alien-y, like a little, right?
A little bit. You can definitely see a little tradition. You got the antennae, the
it's
green
also
skin.
very John Carter, right? Like it's very but it looks almost like sort of like psychedelic to a modern eye as well. Like these things haven't ceased to be psychedelic to us yet, which is kind of interesting for how old they are. That like it's such a unexplored frontier that the same kind of trippy shit is still kind of wild to us in a lot of ways.
I think people have a hard time, and fairly so, because your brain doesn't know what's happening. Like the nuts and bolts, the physical explanation of aliens is easier, I think, for like the mind to wrap around and be like, they're from another place. They evolved like we did. They made vehicles like we did, and then they just further ahead and they came here, rather than the opposite of like, what's space, man? What's time and space, dude?
It's that thought process of like new concepts that pumps out stuff like this. So a great example is evolution, a concept that we just take for granted was new at one point. And because of that new concept, it tripped people out and it got people thinking, okay, if we evolved on this planet from apes, maybe on another planet, something evolved from something else. And that leads us to this, which is straight up just a literal bug person from the book in First Men on the Moon.
This is just, a bug person with a bird beak and skull.
The best thing about this guy is like you looking at him on the background, he looks huge because of all the craters and stuff around him. But like when you look at him next to the person, he's just small. Like a little dude. He's just like a little
bug man.
Yeah, he's a little guy. He's a little buddy.
I mean, you're right though. It's like a logical next step to think. Is like, okay, well, how would other things would have evolved if they were the dominant species?
Yeah, and what's great about that is as we go back and forth through these images, you can tell what people were thinking at the time. So again, the bug man, that's 1901. The dude who kind of looks like an orc but with multiple arms, 1912. The geometric peoples, that's 1888, right?
Yeah.
But then the sentient star man, that's 1937. And again in 1934, another totally out there, totally insane thing is this guy. Again, concepts are changing and what people view as what could possibly be out there. This thing's my favorite.
With legs. It's like a pumpkin and a half-decayed flamingo jammed into the middle of it.
It's absolutely crazy looking. And it's this kind of stuff that people were obsessed with until the mid-20th century when Hollywood basically took over all these concepts and created what aliens were and what we all kind of would agree aliens were. And it's because of things like E.T. and Close Encounters and that kind of stuff that everyone has a mental image of an alien or X-Files or whatever. It's the Greys, it's this. So a lot of what people see or they think they see in the night is based off of what they've seen in a movie or seen on TV. And so the interesting part about this, the part that I love, and we actually talked about it for about 0.2 seconds, Alex mentioned this in our actual real episode, was that all of that is changing again. Because of technology in recent years, in the last 10 years, the idea of what aliens could be has changed because of movies like Arrival, which it's not little gray men. It's some weird ass creature that does weird ass symbols. And we're like, damn, aliens could be anything. And now we're starting to shift back that way again. And I think that's super fun. And
how about these guys are aliens, but those other guys are interdimensional beings?
I mean, it could
Maybe
be both
both.
too, right? It could always be nuts and bolts in both at the same
DLC.
time. I like how it's like that idea of aliens is shifting along with discoveries within quantum science, for instance. It's just like, it's all like, it always seems to boil back down to what is reality? You know, it always that baseline question. And that
I mean, what
feels
is
like it could be
reality? And more importantly, what is our place in it, right? That's the thing we always care about. It's what every human asks themselves. And we're just like, man, answers would be good. And we all like are reaching to the stars because the stars is the one place that has answers of some sort.
Yeah. And who knows what we're not even seeing? We've said this before too, but ticks evolved to have like 2 separate or 3 separate senses, pressure, heat, and like carbon monoxide or whatever. But they're fine. That's where evolution led them, and they're able to thrive as an insect, or essentially. We evolved with 6 senses. Maybe that's all we need. Maybe that's all we needed to get
colors that we don't even know exist.
Literally,
just like,
exactly. Like who knows? But what we evolved via like nature was just what we needed to survive in our particular style of reality for whatever that may mean. Who knows what we're not seeing? It's fascinating. I love that shit, and I love old timey UFO stuff. The stuff they saw back then too. It's like fucking weirdest shit. I love it. Well, that's it for us here at the Chilluminati minisode. We'll be back next week with another one. Thank you all for your support. Again, if you are over at Patreon already, go check for the show. You should have one sitting there waiting for you.
And remember, you're no Hitler because you subscribed.
Fuck Hitler.
Goodbye.
Fuck that guy.
Hello, my little Chilluminauts. Welcome back. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm tired, man. I'm tired.
Not a fan. Not a fan of any of this.
Welcome to Minisode 150 something. Yeah. I don't know, man. I don't remember what episode it is. 156 maybe.
That's okay.
Man, gave
That's
up.
all right.
What
It's not
for
that
that?
I didn't look. I usually look it up
fucking
beforehand. I forgot,
number it
dude. I
is.
forgot. I'm too consumed. I don't know if you boys have heard. I'll start it out. We have the Orca Wars have begun.
Yo, have they finally risen up against us?
Yes, they have been and continue to do so. This happened.
What the fuck are you talking about, Corbin, my man?
What?
It's a Fifth Element reference. Don't worry about it.
Okay, definitely.
How are we? Why do you? You're only making it hard for yourself, Alex.
Swing and a miss. You know?
One day there will be a time I get these references. I'll be very
Someday.
excited.
Corbin, my man. One day, yeah, you'll get that. You'll be like, wow.
I'll get it. I know Chris Tucker's in. I've seen the other movie he was in.
He's in a few movies, actually.
Yeah,
Rush Hour.
I hate to break it to you, he's been in several movies.
He's
No,
in
the only good one, Rush Hour.
Just a hot take.
Whoa! I mean, that is a call, all right.
That's the topic for today's
hot
minisode. Yeah, so I don't know if you've heard, boys, but over the past few months, orcas have been attacking human boats for like the very first time. And again, yesterday it happens as a pod of orcas has sunk a yacht in the Strait of Gibraltar. For 45 minutes. I
love this.
The 45 minutes, the crew of the Grazi Mama felt like they were under
The Grazi
attack.
Mama?
Grazi Mama. Grazi, Grazie.
Grazi Mama. Okay.
Thank
Sure.
you,
Grazi
Mom.
Mommy.
This yacht was called Thank You, Mommy.
Yeah. The Grazi Mama. A pod of orcas.
Thank you, Mommy.
Thank you, Mama. A pod of orcas zeroed in on the yacht's rudder as it made its way through the Straits of Gibraltar and rammed it repeatedly, causing major damage and leakage, according to the company that operated the boat. Rescuers were able to save the crew and return them safely to the port of Tanger Med on the coast of Morocco, but their vessel sank into the sea, so they lost the boat. And then they go on to say, "The yacht was the most wonderful thing in maritime sailing for all of us," read a statement posted onto Facebook by Morsky Mile, the Warsaw-based touring company that operated the boat. "Very good memories will be transferred to Grazi Mama too. Love of the sea always wins and friendships remain with us."
Was that done with Google Translate?
No, this is just
Mama
NPR.
too.
This is just NPR. This is just on NPR.
Wild. Okay.
You know, shout out to NPR.
Yeah, appreciate it, NPR. So this, like I said, what they believe is actually happening is that there's one orca in there that had early trauma with a boat of some sort, and that has passed that along and is taught them to fight these boats.
This is
and
an
knock them
enemy.
over.
Here's how you destroy it.
Yes,
Yeah.
literally. And we know orcas do things. They teach things to each other. They have names for each other. They have like a fucking language they speak to each other. I always think of that time where there was a month where orcas and only female orcas were wearing a salmon on their head, as like what the scientists could only describe as like a fashion.
Yeah, like a fashion
thing.
trend.
Like it was
amazing.
Fun. Orcas. This is like the 4th or 5th boat that I've read that's been attacked by orcas in the past 6 months to a year or so. And these are just picking up in frequency. So just watch out for orcas, all you exceedingly rich billionaires and millionaires.
Question: when you say yacht, do you mean engine-based yacht or sail-based yacht?
Let's look it up. The Grazie.
Because that's a question. Are they attacking sailboats or are they attacking engine-based?
I think it's engine-based yachts.
I would assume so as well, but I'm curious.
Boat. It's sail. It's got big old sails on it.
Oh wow! Okay,
right. But maybe it's big enough that it has engines. I don't know. That's very. I guess just boats in general.
It detected. It saw its rudder, but I mean, I don't see like an engine on the back of this thing in what pictures I can see. No, it's not one of those big double-decker yachts. It's one of those like big sails, kind of just like a one-floor like yacht boat thing. Yeah, and it just, I don't know, they got fucking crushed. They got sunk the boat. But don't worry, Grazie Mama 2 is coming for revenge.
Well, thank God.
That's all I got. I got orcas are attacking because I don't want to talk about the state of the alien things right now. Fucking Kirkpatrick is being removed from the AARO. It got revealed that he had ties to Patel that might actually still be like, they might still be under their payroll. Like all kinds of shit that just came out about Kirkpatrick, and now suddenly he's being removed as the leader of the AARO.
Also, over on Reddit, really quickly, this isn't my topic, but speaking of aliens, over on Reddit last night, I was, scrolling through Reddit, and I saw, I think it was under the UFO section maybe, where everyone was freaking out because in Peru, they did that research, so they were like, we're going to examine what these mummies are. And they came back with, it's not human remains. And everyone's losing their mind like, see, it's evidence. And I was like, yo, that is, non-human remains is like a chicken.
It could be animal remains. Oh, God, just let the nuts. Like, the Nazca mummies, like, just let them go. They come from a man who has, like, built career on scamming people.
It's cake, bro.
Yeah. It's just cake. It's ancient cake.
I've got some ancient cake for you, actually, if you're interested.
I am interested in some ancient cake.
So here's the deal. Everybody knows about the Great Sphinx of Giza, right? Everybody knows. When I say Great Sphinx of Giza, you see the image of this thing.
Where are you going with this?
So this thing is like, I don't know. It's very famous, but I don't think that many people know exactly, or if there may not even be a consensus on the actual purpose of this thing existing, right? Like there's guesses of different things that it could be, right? But nobody really knows. People say maybe it's a guardian of the pyramid or something like that. I don't know. Or, over the years, there's been very different theories about what it is and why it's there. But actually, there is a new theory that's not so mystical about the origin of the Sphinx. And I guess in the end, it's still got a spiritual element to it in some way, probably. But according to New York University, there is a new origin story that just involves erosion. And basically, Leif Ristroff, who's an associate professor at NYU, says, quote, our laboratory experiments showed that surprisingly Sphinx-like shapes can in fact come from materials being eroded by fast flows. And so they made like clay versions of these rock formations and used water and like washed these things. And they end up as these shapes that are like formations that go in the desert that are called yardangs. So I'm going to show you a picture of the Great Sphinx. So you can
give everybody the Sphinx wasn't a Sphinx to begin with?
Well, so check this out. So check out the Sphinx.
Yep, I see it.
Everybody's seen this, but just in case, maybe just give the people little.
Maybe it was like a sculptor saw something in the stone.
Body of a lion, head of a man. It's
entirely
Sphinx
fuckable.
Has riddles, guardians of various things.
Yeah. So here's this other image of what the kind of formations were, these yardangs.
Okay.
That were just naturally created using erosion in the desert. And
I can see this being like the founding block, like the first they carved into it as opposed to like built it from nothing.
It's like maybe it was already some kind of religious object in times past, just because it looked, kind of in the way that a constellation gains some sort of significance, religious significance, by just kind of having a natural appearance of something. Like maybe this started as that, and then they kind of ran with it and kind of like made it into a big icon instead. You know what I mean? Like almost like Mount Rushmore or something. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, that's very plausible. I can see that being. I mean, I'm not I ain't no scientist, but it seems as plausible as them building it themselves. Like I can definitely see it. It would probably save a lot of.
Yeah. So basically, the harder the resistant material, the harder the material became. The head of the lion and many other features like the undercut neck, paws laid out in front on the ground, and arch back just naturally developed. Like the actual shape of an entire Sphinx.
So the paws weren't paws before?
Like there was like extensions of rock that went out like the paws do, but they maybe saw the rock formation and said that's like a Sphinx laying down.
Like a sculptor would.
Yeah, and then the sculptor saw that and chiseled it out of the naturally occurring rock formation is kind of the theory.
But it's clearly stacks of bricks. I'm looking at the image.
Well, they definitely like added to it and built onto it, but they're saying that what was there before was maybe some sort of natural formation that they then like
long ago, and then I guess in theory that could work considering the
you kind of know what I'm saying, right?
Egyptians as a whole would be much older, right?
Yeah,
so
kind of statuizing it as they go, right?
Yeah, throughout 2,000 years of history.
Doing it.
Yeah, I guess
built around an existing kind of base.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, so I don't know. So it's kind of interesting. It's kind of like a histories mysteries type thing, and it kind of, I like it because there's like a little mysterious element of these Yardangs being kind of mystical looking and kind of Sphinx-like on their own, and the idea that the Sphinx is naturally occurring in the desert is kind of exciting to me. I don't know, kind of exciting. That's what I got.
Well, speaking of kind of exciting, gentlemen, I don't know if you're aware of this, but earlier this year on the BBC, on BBC 4, they had a program called...
BBCs are there?
Yeti. BBC 1 through 4. But then there's ITV and Dive. They got them all. They got them all over there. It was a show called Yeti, in which Andrew Benfield and Richard Horsey traveled to India, Nepal, Myanmar, and Bhutan in search of this mysterious hairy cryptid. Similar to this podcast, Benfield was a believer through and through, and Horsey was a skeptic, and he wanted to take him there to meet the locals and to get their real accounts and like prove to him that it was real. And he said, if I could convince Richard, I knew I was onto something. And so during the show, while they were out there trying to find a Yeti, they didn't find one, obviously, but they did retrieve what they believed to be physical evidence in the form of hair. And they submitted it for DNA analysis. And several months later, now we finally have our results.
I'm going to guess it's just an animal.
It is, in fact, horsehair.
Yep.
Hey!
All right.
We realize it doesn't really... This is my favorite part, because it just goes to show the kind of industry, that's what I'm going to say, the industry that we're in. We realize it doesn't really matter to most people whether it physically exists or not. It's the role that it plays in their world.
What?
I'm allergic to...
Bullshit.
Yeti hair. Anyway, you certainly respect local people's knowledge when they're up there living it, said Benfield. Who am I to question these people? They're out there every day. So,
love that.
Once again, no real evidence.
Love that. Love when they weigh in with the big guns like that.
Like in the Yeti world or in the Sasquatch adjacent world, we don't even have like government camera footage of a Yeti. All right, like we need at least some sort of baseline, because the best thing we have can still be described as a man got bored and went to buy a costume to fuck with the people on the train. Because I still think that's like some of the best the footage we have.
I want to ask you a question, because I've been thinking about this for 5 minutes. But for me, that's a lifetime. You know how lately with UFOs, with all these different things, it's like, okay, so the government has this information. The government has this. And what if the government did this? When did all these people start trusting the government to give them correct information?
Oh, yeah, no, I know.
It's one of the big, fallacies of this whole world is that exact thing. that like there's the good, there's like the government guys that are like just in charge and working behind the scenes and holding it down all the time, but also everything's like a plot by the government, and it just rends right open the notion
whole
that
thing. Yeah, the more you think about it, the more you're like, and it's the same thing we talked about before. It's like if the aliens are working with the government, then why would the aliens have tech that the government's trying to like steal away? You know what I mean? There's like so many fallacies in the whole thing where it's just like it. I don't know how, you know, like, well, Bigfoot's real, but also we have no evidence, but that's because the government is hiding it from us. But also, you know, like, it's just like,
God, if the government is going out of their way to hide Bigfoot evidence from us, God, what's our funding doing in that fucking government system? Get it out. That's insane. I don't think they're hiding cryptids from us. I hope not.
I would, if anything, I would hope that's the one thing they are hiding, because
is cryptids.
Yes, because I feel like if we, the public, ever discovered they were real, we'd hunt them to extinction. People would go out there and actively try to kill cryptids, and I feel like that's the one thing the government's doing is hiding chupacabra. I'm fine.
Yeah. You wouldn't think that would happen, but that's exactly what would fucking
happen. The very first thing they did in Skinwalker Ranch when the big wolf showed up was get their gun and shoot at it. So
that's what I'm saying. Of course they'd kill whatever they could. So I'm fine with the government hiding that. That's all right.
Listen, aliens, if they're here, they're probably just fucking observing us and watching us. And the government has no idea what they are either. That's the most realistic take.
It's fucked up and it's exhausting, but it's true, and it's also meaningless. It sucks.
Just like this mini-sode. Meaningless and it sucks. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week with another mini-sode after our Son of Sam Part 2, which I'm excited to finish up. And then maybe we'll have some alien news next week. I don't know.
Maybe. Grush got his clearances back. Did you see
I know. He got his clearances back. Like, he fought for them. They took him away. They got him back. He has a skiff meeting again scheduled.
Yep.
We'll see. I don't know. With Kirkpatrick being removed, it's some weird shit happening.
Next week. Don't worry.
Next week. Okay. Thank you guys so much, everybody. We love you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.